Why markets obey silence more than signals. The loudest moments in finance are rarely the most important ones. Crashes make noise. Announcements make headlines. But real direction is often set in silence. This matters today because modern markets no longer react to what is said. They react to what is implied. Signals are everywhere. Speeches, data releases, forecasts, statements. Yet markets increasingly ignore them. What they obey instead is absence, delay, hesitation, the quiet spaces where intent is revealed without words. To understand why silence became more powerful than signals, we have to look at how markets learned to listen. In earlier eras, information was scarce. Any signal carried weight. A statement from authority could move prices instantly. But as information multiplied, its power diluted. Markets became saturated with noise. Signals lost clarity. London adapted to this reality faster than most. The city learned that when everyone is speaking, meaning migrates to what is not said. A postponed decision, a meeting that ends without comment, a policy unchanged when change is expected. These moments speak louder than declarations. Silence introduced ambiguity, and ambiguity forced interpretation. Markets began watching behavior instead of listening to words. They learned that true intent is revealed through timing, not messaging. When action does not follow expectation, something has shifted beneath the surface. At first, the silence felt unsettling. Analysts searched for hidden meaning. Traders hesitated. But over time, silence became a guide, a way for the system to recalibrate without triggering panic. Signals could provoke reaction. Silence allowed adjustment. This transformation changed the balance of power. Those who understood silence could move markets without moving prices. They shaped expectation without exposure. They guided behavior without resistance. And once markets learned to obey silence, speaking became the least effective tool of all. Silence works because it creates space for assumption. When information stops flowing, markets don't pause. They speculate. They fill the gap with expectation, memory, and instinct. Silence forces participants to interpret rather than react. And interpretation is where belief is formed. London learned how to use this space carefully, not by withholding information irresponsibly, but by understanding when clarity would destabilize rather than stabilize. In moments of uncertainty, too much explanation invites disagreement. Too much detail exposes fragility. Silence, by contrast, allows markets to settle into their own conclusions. This is where silence becomes more powerful than signals. Signals invite reaction. Silence invites alignment. When a signal is released, everyone reacts at once, often violently. When silence appears, reactions spread unevenly. Participants watch each other. They wait for confirmation. Behavior adjusts gradually. The system breathes instead of convulsing. Over time, markets learn to read silence as intention. A decision delayed signal caution. A policy left unchanged signal confidence. A refusal to comment signal boundaries. These interpretations became part of the market's internal language, understood instinctively by those closest to it. But silence is risky, because once meaning migrates into absence, misunderstanding becomes inevitable. Different participants fill the gap differently. Assumptions diverge. Expectations fragment. And when silence is misread, the correction can be abrupt. London manages this tension through consistency. Silence works only when behavior remains predictable. Systems must continue functioning. Processes must hold. Outcomes must stay within known limits. When silence is paired with reliability, it stabilizes. When reliability wavers, silence amplifies fear. This is why silence cannot be improvised. It must be earned. Markets obey silence only when they trust the environment that surrounds it. And that trust is a product of history, memory, and repeated proof that nothing hidden is about to break. Without that foundation, silence becomes noise. And noise always ends badly. The conflict appears when silence is mistaken for certainty. As markets grow comfortable reading absence as intention, they begin projecting confidence where none was guaranteed. Silence, once a stabilizer, becomes an assumption control. Participants stop preparing for disruption and start believing that nothing disruptive will occur. This is the danger, Because silence does not mean safety. It means restraint. London has seen moments when silence held too long, when markets interpreted calm as permanence, when delayed decisions were seen as mastery rather than uncertainty. Expectations hardened, risk accumulated quietly, and when reality finally asserted itself, the adjustment was abrupt. Silence stopped calming markets and began confusing them. Participants questioned whether restraint still existed or whether clarity had been lost. Was silence intentional, or was it hesitation? Was the system stable, or was it overwhelmed? Once these questions surfaced, interpretation fractured. Different actors filled the gap differently. Alignment dissolved. This is when silence becomes volatile. Without shared belief, absence of information amplifies fear. Every pause is suspect. Every delay feels ominous. Markets search for hidden meaning where none exists. Behavior becomes defensive. Liquidity thins. Volatility returns without a clear trigger. Inside the city, this phase is recognized instantly. Silence must be paired with demonstration. Systems must behave predictably. Processes must activate on schedule. When words disappear, action must speak louder. London responds not by explaining, but by proving continuity. Clearing continues. Settlement completes. Boundaries hold. Participants see that restraint is still deliberate, not accidental. Gradually, interpretation realigns. But this balance is narrow. Silence can stabilize only for so long. Eventually, clarity is required, and choosing when to break silence becomes the most powerful decision of all. The climax arrives when silence is finally understood for what it is. Not certainty, not secrecy, but discipline. When restraint holds, markets recalibrate. Participants stop projecting fear onto absence and start reading behavior instead. Systems continue functioning. Boundaries remain intact. The familiar rhythm returns. Silence no longer feels empty. It feels intentional. This is the resolution of silence over signal. London does not use silence to hide weakness. It uses it to avoid provoking instability. The city understands that not every moment demands explanation. Not every shift benefits from exposure. In complex systems, clarity introduced too early can do more harm than good. Silence allows alignment to form naturally, without forcing reaction. But silence only works when trust exists. Once that trust fractures, words must return. Authority must surface. Influence must give way to control. Silence is powerful only while credibility surrounds it. When credibility weakens, absence becomes threat. Modern finance now lives within this balance. Speak too much and markets convulse. Say too little and confidence erodes. London's skill lies in knowing when silence guides behavior and when it must be broken, because silence is not the absence of action. It is action delayed with purpose. And in a system where reaction can destroy stability, that delay is often the most responsible choice of all. Subscribe to join the journey.